Hi everybody, welcome to the house church video for the side week. You're going to want to be spending some time getting into the different situations in each other's lives, marriage, kids, that sort of thing. But you'll also want to talk about the sermon, I believe, because actually how it unfolds really fits into how we prioritize our relationships. As I came to Peter to look at his wounds and where his wounds meet Jesus' scars, there's a lot more to work with because we actually have a record of Jesus and Peter talking face to face, so I don't have to make something up to figure it out. So I'm looking at this stuff, trying to go, what's Peter's wound? Where's Jesus' scars? Because when Peter and Jesus talk at the end of John in Jesus' last conversation, it seems like they're addressing Peter's failure. So that maybe is his wound. He promises that he's going to not deny Jesus, then he does, and then there's this reconciliation, this reinstatement afterwards. But Jesus doesn't fail anywhere, so he can't say me too. So I dug a little bit deeper in my aha moment. So I guess then, to stick to our form, my question would be, what was Peter's wound that Jesus could say me too, because it couldn't be failure? I think the wound is, and this is my aha moment, my light bulb, is this wound of self-preservation. Peter wants to preserve himself. He wants to protect himself. And we see it in texts that we read where they're arguing about who's the greatest. And Peter wants to be the greatest. And then he's always going first and he's advocating for himself. And then when there's pressure on him and there's a real downside to following Jesus, he chooses himself over Jesus. That's self-preservation. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane is praying to the Father, going, if there's any way that this cup can be taken from me, any way that there's, in a sense, that this is easier on me, then can we do that? But the difference with Jesus, and here's my challenge, is that Jesus loves the Father more than he loves himself. Peter does not love Jesus more than he loves himself, because you act out of your deepest loves. Peter loves Peter more than he loves Jesus, so Peter, until that changes, is going to deny Jesus to save Peter's skin. This makes a ton of sense when you look at the conversation that Jesus and Peter then have when they meet on the beach. Jesus doesn't say to him, smarten up, or you shouldn't have done that, or anything along those lines. His first question is, do you love me? And he asks him 3 times. And the 3rd time, Peter's a little sheepish because it mirrors his 3-part denial, and Peter gets what Jesus is doing there and bringing the 2 together. Do you love me? The second thing that Jesus says to him is, well, then feed my lambs. I think you can summarize those 2 phrases in a way that just points you in the direction of saying, do you love something more than yourself, Peter? Do you love me? Do you love my mission more than you love yourself? That's my challenge. And that's how Jesus heals the wound. Jesus comes and he says, you will not be healed from your wound of self-preservation until you love something more than you love yourself. And when you love something more than yourself, like me, if you love me, then we go and do the things that I like to do. That's what you do when you love somebody more than you love yourself. You go and do the things they like to do. How many of us have been in relationships where somebody goes, we always do what you want to do? And we realize that as much as we say, I love you, until you actually do what they want to do, you're not showing them that you love them. Jesus invites Peter into doing what he wants to do, which is feeding the lambs, the people that Jesus is caring for. And if Peter says, yeah, I love you, and let's go feed lambs together, then he finds that intimacy with Jesus and the service alongside Jesus, and he proves, in fact, that he loves Jesus more than he loves himself. So that's my challenge, is to remind myself that as much as I say I love Jesus, unless when I say that I have the faces of lambs coming to my mind about who I love, then I'm just fooling myself. Because to love Jesus and to experience intimacy with Jesus is to feed lambs alongside him and do the things that he loves to do. To love Jesus is to do the things with him that he loves to do. Grace and peace, everybody. Enjoy talking this through together.